and it was on NBC too, the same network that they played the Super Bowl on. So it was going to be a crazy game. It was going to be a crazy game, regardless of anything. So let's go ahead jump into our first game, which is going to be the Thursday night football game. That's going to be the Jaguars, who are 4-2. We got the Saints, who are 3-3. We got the over under of 39. Seems like we're getting a little bit lower on the unders this week. The under did go. I think it was 12-2-1, Jeff, this week on the unders this week for the NFL. So literally, and guess what? The two over games were in the same state. Go ahead and guess who that was.
Uh, was it Miami, Florida?
Miami's one of them.
Yeah,
And the other
and Jacksonville. Yeah.
So it was only the only games in Florida went over. Everybody else was under. That's absolutely incredible. And another stat before we start dig into this one that I thought was fun was this. And Derek Carr was one of these guys too. There were 5 quarterbacks that threw for over 300 yards. Only one of them won. One. That's one guy won. There were 9 quarterbacks that threw for under 200 yards. And they went 8-1, Jeff. So that's just absolutely just nuts. You know what I mean? That's just a crazy, crazy stat in itself right there. So I just had to throw that out there to you. But this game right here, you have a Jaguars team, red hot, winners of 3 in a row. They went to London. They fixed everything up that they needed to fix. And pretty much they were able to win those 2 games in a row, get themselves 3-2 back at home. Then they go ahead and they win a very important division game against a very hot. We can say they were a little hot coming in, right? The Colts. I think
Sure.
they were 3-2 coming in. I think that they were on somewhat of a win streak as well too. I think they had 1-2 in a row coming in, and they got a good win the week before, and they were looking to get another good win and try to get 3-0 in the division. That's one thing that the Colts have done well. They played the division very well, but you know what? The Jaguars didn't let the London hangover get to them, and they pretty much played some very disciplined football. Found themselves one of the big blowout winners of Sunday, winning 37-20. So pretty much they had themselves a pretty good game. Trevor Lawrence is continuing a nice run as well too. I put him on my MVP list as well for this year, even though we did have those 2 little games where he didn't do that well. But in every game that he has done well in, the Jaguars have performed on a high level, and that's exactly what you expect of your quarterback. And I think that can allow a guy to be a part of the MVP race as well too. Now, New Orleans, on the other hand, New Orleans falls into the category of having a guy who threw for over 300 yards, and you still wind up losing the game. Derek Carr threw for 307 yards, and was 32 for 50, Jeff. No touchdowns in that game, and winds up only getting out 13 points for this. He put way too much pressure on the defense. They weren't able to execute in the red zone. They weren't able to get big plays done in the red zone as well, too. This is something that has been a problem all season for the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have been very good at playing a very aggressive defense. And if the defense scores a touchdown for them, it's actually a helpful thing for this team, because it seems that Derek Carr can only muster about 17 points a game for these guys, and he has some very gaudy stats when you look at it as well too. It's just how do we fix this situation? Dennis Allen has already said that it comes down to coaching, execution, and play calling. Well, it's been 6 straight weeks of this. When are you guys going to fix it? Only week they had that was good was against the Patriots, and the Patriots pretty much quit in the first 5 minutes of that game. So, what are we doing here? That's the biggest question that I have for the Saints. But in a game like this one, when you break it on down, they're on 3 days of rest. I truly do feel what happens here is that you have a team in the Saints that need a bounce back game, and where else can you bounce back at but at home? The Jaguars are going to come into this game. They probably, when you look at it, they didn't play the type of competition that you can tell yourself that you can really put your hat on. You know what I mean? The Falcons are an average team, and we know the Colts are an average team, but beating the Bills was pretty huge. But I feel like, can they sustain this winning formula coming into this game? And then you have a Saints team that's ready to show that they're a lot better than what they truly are. They'll have a better offensive game because they only have so many days to prepare for the game. So that's where I feel the Saints will do well because they'll be on national television. And so I'm going to go ahead and take them with the minus 155 money line for this game. Jeff, what are your thoughts and who do you have winning this game?
We were talking backstage and it was kind of comical. I was sitting here with a couple of people on Sunday and YouTube TV watching 3 games in the red zone, then 3 games, yada, yada, yada. And every time the Saints came on, I was sitting there cursing because I have Olave, of course, in a couple spots. Derek Carr, I've never seen an NFL quarterback check down more than Derek Carr. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. And I was trying to think of a former NFL quarterback that he got late in his career and he couldn't throw the ball over 20 yards unless it was a hook and lateral. And I couldn't even come up with that answer. And then at the end of the day, I saw he threw for 330 yards. A couple of weeks ago, the return of Alvin Kamara, 13 catches for 33 yards. Think about that for a second. That is almost physically impossible. But this is what he's doing. Would have been on the Jags on a short week. They are on a roll. Hats off to them, not only winning 2 weeks in a row in London, but coming home against, I want to say, a feisty Colts team, the return of Jonathan Taylor. Unfortunately, Gardner and Magical Minshew, was just pixie dust. You knew in the first quarter that was over. He threw 3, 4, 5 picks. It was disgusting. But I'm a numbers. I read the market pops. And my sheet had Jacksonville -1 with a 40.5. It is now the Saints -3 with a 39 or 38.5. I was born at night, not last night. It clearly tells me one thing. Trevor Lawrence is not playing. He dinged up his knee late in that game. So don't expect Trevor Lawrence. That's why the Saints have gone to 3. This has got Saints 21-17 written all over it. I followed your lead. I also, too, took the Saints money line.
And I would suggest to all bettors today, if you're watching this live, you should go jump on the Saints now because they're probably going to be a -180, -190 by the time they confirm the news that Jeff is giving you right now, pretty much. Because the thing is, we know that the Jaguars can afford to have Trevor Lawrence sit out a game like this. You can trust your backup against a team like the Saints who aren't scoring a lot of points. So that's where you kind of can do the math on that situation. Now, if this was a game where the Saints were more of a high-end team right now, it would be something that would be, something possibly that he would probably be doing everything it takes to get on the field for that. I know he's going to do everything it takes to get on the field for this game, but they get a little bit more cautious when they know that they're playing against a winner in a game where their backup can win that game. And the Saints have proven that a backup can beat them this year, even though they have one of the better defenses in the NFL. It's because the offense is so inept. That's the biggest reason why. So we move forward. Let's